Hey, Pastor Bryan here again. I'm with Robbie. We are talking about chapter 2 of Worship Matters by Bob Kauflin. So, Robbie, as the team's going through this, as you're thinking about it, as you were looking at chapter 2, what are your highlights? What do you have here? What do we need to pay very close attention to?
I could just read you the chapter. It's just
you're gonna do it. Well, okay. So if I read the chapter and missed it, what do you? You got a lot of underlined notes there.
For sure. There's a section on the last page of the chapter. It's 26, and towards the bottom there, and he quotes from Isaac Watts here. Isaac Watts says, "It is therefore a matter of infinite importance to have the whole heart engaged steadfastly for God." And this whole chapter is revolving around the question of what do I love, right? And so he says this is a primary concern, or our primary concern has to be the state of our hearts. And so as we're walking through this and we're going through the book, this is I believe a good chapter that challenges us on how we think about, okay, what do we love?
Well, he opens on the very beginning, I think it's the second paragraph. It says, your greatest challenge is what you yourself bring to the platform each and every Sunday. Your heart.
Yeah.
So you're pushing our worship team to bring sanctified, good heart with affection for God. How does what's here help us to get there? Like, what other stuff do you have here? What really jumped out at you?
For sure. There on page 25, even he goes on and he says, it's towards the middle of the page. He says, I continue to learn about the pervasive power of sin and the greatest power of Jesus Christ to redeem me from it. I love Jesus more than I ever thought I would or could. And I have a note here that I wrote that says not transactional. So our relationship with Christ is not a transactional relationship. It's, okay, we are great sinners. He says earlier, we're great sinners in need of a great Savior.
What do you mean by transactional? We do something, we get something?
We do something, we get something. Yeah. That's not how grace works. It's not how Christ gifts to us.
Right. The only thing we brought was all bad.
We bring the sin. He brings the grace.
The grace. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. So I have this line here highlighted. And I'm not a musician. I'm a preacher. So I'm not sitting in the AV booth. I'm not doing that part of
you're
Sunday morning. I am learning the
yeah.
AV booth, but I'm not doing that part of the Sunday morning gathering for the Lord's Day worship. But I love this line because I think this bleeds into preaching. It's really pretty diverse, but it really applies to the worship team. And I hope our worship team really gravitates to this. But it says worship isn't primarily about music, techniques, liturgies, songs, or methodologies. Yeah. It's about our hearts. It's about what and who we love more than anything. That's true of the person on the platform, on the stage, That's true of the preacher behind the pulpit, but it's just as true for everybody in the room. Worshiping, putting their affection on God. I mean, it's just powerful.
That's exactly right.
It's powerful. You got a lot of notes. What else you got there? That says bam.
Yeah, boom. Yeah,
boom.
He says, while it's simplistic to say that worship is love, it's a fact that what we love most will determine what we genuinely worship. And
so would you say then, if that's the case, if what we love most is what we worship, if we don't love Christ most, if we're not turning our affections towards God and we're standing here worshiping, do you feel like the worship is maybe not as robust in the individual? Maybe it's, I don't want to say it's false, but it could be. So we're coming in here, we're checking a box, and we actually love what we're going to go do after church, or we love this thing and that thing, but we don't really love God. Are we really worshiping in spirit and truth in here?
Oh, sure. No, yeah, no, I think I'd align with that. Yeah, that we're missing out. I think you can cross over to okay, are we in sin? Are we in blatant sin? Or what's going on here? And there's another book, The Gospel Primer, Milton Vincent, and he talks about with our sin issues and stuff, or maybe it's bad worship, however we're looking at it, that we're ultimately missing out on the blessings that God has for us, by not enjoying Him, by not having a right heart with Him and such in the moment. And so maybe there's a need for confession before coming to church on Sunday morning before worship happens.
Or try not to fight with your wife on the way.
Or try not to fight, yeah.
Why does our worship team really need to zero in on why the heart has to be right? What would you say to our folks, our team? Our worship team is everybody in the room on a Sunday morning. Right, the whole choir.
Yeah.
But I mean the people that are leading in the instruments, leading in the AV, helping to guide the whole church in worship. What would you say to them about why this is so critical?
I used to say all the time that if you're on the stage, you're teaching in some way, shape, or form. And like I believe that whether you're a part of the worship team from the AV aspect or on the platform, that you're teaching. Like I don't want to say you're elevated or anything, but people do look at you.
Well,
like,
they're seeing you.
Yeah, they see
follow
you.
me as I follow Christ. I'm worshiping. We're going to worship with me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if our hearts aren't right in all areas of life in regard, like even off the stage, like more importantly, maybe off the stage, we could set a bad example or be a bad witness to our congregation that we're trying to lead on Sunday mornings. Like they might know of a sin issue that we're dealing with, unconfessed sin, or hey, this is terrible, or whatever it might be. But just knowing our hearts, our heart condition and such, and like the more we get that in tune, the more we get that ourselves right with the Lord, like you said, the more robust the worship will be on Sunday mornings.
Hey, let me read something to you and then ask how this really hits close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Page 22. The most powerful idols, right, the things that have stolen our affection of our hearts, so we've directed some other way. The most powerful idols are the ones we can't even see. Things like reputation, power, and control. How often do you think these things influence a worship team? Reputation, power, control.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you're the lead guitarist or something, and like folks, you got to hit those notes, and you hit them constantly.
Your reputation is like you're amazing.
Yeah, right? But it's an idol that maybe you're not even that in tune with or that aware of, but it could definitely be just that hidden monster in your closet there.
I mean, I think he's probably driving this towards specifically you as the leader.
Sure.
But do you think this is an issue for the guys in the AV booth, like the guys, even the guy that is playing the cajon or playing bass or
Yeah, I think like just the issue of we can put a name to it. Pride within itself can be it can be anybody's issue. Whether you're the AV guy, you're the drummer, like whoever you are, and I believe the goal of this chapter is to help tackle that. Like, okay, we need to draw out what those idols are, kill those idols, and fix our eyes on Christ.
Okay, so your application is really like identify them. So you're being
identify
honest
the
about
problem,
it, confess it. This is the problem.
Yeah.
And then basically assault it with the gospel, mortify
exactly.
it, right?
Yeah. Take a look at yourself. See like what's going on. Like why do I do what I do? Like why do I get up there on Sunday mornings? Why do I serve in general on Sunday morning? And it doesn't have to stop with the worship team. That's what's so cool about this book. I mean, it just challenges us to think about worship all the way around. Even how we greet people on Sunday mornings or how we do hospitality.
That's nice. So we're out of time. If you had one more big takeaway from chapter 2, what do you think it'd be? I mean, we've covered some pretty big heart stuff, but or just one big overarching thought for the person reading chapter 2. What would you leave them with?
Yeah, I would say like for the worship leader, yes, be concerned for your heart, like know your heart, but also be concerned for your team's heart. It's something like I'm convicted even just speaking about and just talking about, like, I need to do a better job of actually being concerned about my own team's heart and such. But the heart is it's the root, it's our core, and it's not just the organ that pumps blood, but it's like who we are, our inner being and such. And so we need to have that fixed on the Lord, fixed on God, and try to root out those idols.
That's really good. Hey, thanks. All right, so the next video we're going to be talking about chapter 2 from Worship Matters from Bob Kauflin.